There, YouTube. I've got some progress here that I wanted to share with you guys with my post and antenna mast. All right, what I've done here is I've secured the post, which I had mentioned in my past video, actually my last two videos, last two parts. I put a brace there, bolted to the cabin, and this makes it it doesn't budge. There's no moving. I mean, don't go by the camera. That's my hand moving. It's not the tower. The post is 100%. I wanted to show everybody the boat winch. Okay, how it works. It's really nice. It's so easy to turn. I can literally turn it with my pinky. That's how easy it is to turn. All right, and then you'll see some blocks here, there, and there, and they are to guide the mast directly in the center of the post. So we don't have, so the pipe stays plumb as it goes past the top. Up at the pulley, I put a guide in there because the pulley was twisting all over the place, and it just wasn't working right. I was afraid that it might stress it too much and break it. So now it's perpendicular to the post, so it works perfectly. And plus, I've got a guide post up there for when the pipe goes up. Now, right now I have two lengths of pipe, 20 feet, and I'm pretty sure with the camera you can see there is no bend. It's just a slight bend, not much. Okay, but now the antennas, I'm either going to put a Syria ground plane antenna or an A99 on this mast, and both weigh between 5 and 6 pounds. This pipe here, which is another extension, weighs 7.5 pounds. Okay, so it's a little heavier than the antennas the antenna is going to be going on it. Now I'm holding it now, and it looks really straight. As soon as I let go, you will see. Let me back up here so I can show you. Bear with me. Okay, now we've got a really deep bend. I had thought maybe that I can get away with these three sections, put 30 pounds, the 30 feet, and then put the antenna, but I think that it's going to just put me back in the same problem where it was bending the pipe because of the weight here, and you can see that. And I didn't even have the antenna on. Once the antenna, I'm sure that this would have either bent or snapped off. So this simulates having the antenna on there, like I said, which is between 5 and 6 pounds, and depending on the antenna, it can go from 18 to 24 feet. But I'm not worried about that because the tips of the antennas are very thin and very light, so all the weight is going to be focused right here, localized right here. All right, so I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to show you cranking this up, how this works and how it lines up, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this. So give me a sec. All right, guys, I've got this on a real shady platform here, this camera, so hopefully me walking off this deck doesn't have it, trip off or whatever. Hopefully I won't have to do a take two, so I'm going to do this real gingerly, like I did in the last video, and hopefully it will capture the angle that we need. All right, hi folks. All right, I'm going to crank it up. With that extra pole, there's a little bit more tension on this, but nothing that this thing can't handle. This is rated up to 1,000 pounds, and I think with the angle and the torque on this, it's no more than 100 pounds tops. So we're going to go all the way up. I'm going to do this real quick. Pulley is looking smooth. It's not binding up like it was doing before. Everything's looking much better. Everything's nice and firm. You don't have that wobble that we had before. There's still a slight bend in this, but if it was just the antenna, I'm not worried because the antenna will be just fine. Once it's vertical, it's not going to have that bend in it. And then it's going to be guide wired up at the top at the 20-foot mark. Now at this point, it's slightly off-center, just the nature of the way the pipe lays. But as it gets into those, it slides into those blocks. There, they have little angles on the ends there, and it lines it up perfectly. Here I put some tension. All right, I'm gonna bring this camera over now and show you guys how this is working. All right, now there's no guy wire on here at all. This is 30 feet. I may or may not try it. I may try to put the guy wires up there and put the antenna, but I don't think I'll be able to do it. I think I'm pushing it too far. But anyway, at this point, this is what the antenna would look like if it was on there. Okay. Now this first block here is going to get a hasp. So it'll be bolted here and the hasp part will be here. I'm going to close this in, okay, and put a little lock on it. So this will be an extra support to keep this in place just in case something happens with the crank, okay, and it doesn't, I don't want this to let go and that antenna come flying down. So that's going to get a hasp. And then here I have the little guide, and at the top also a guide. Now I wanted to add something here. This ladder is an old ladder. It's about 20 years old. I bought a new one. I was going to get rid of this because I said, what am I going to use it for? And I just happened to use it this time to do all of this work on here, putting the bracing on there like I said I was going to do. Let me show you the other side of the bracing. Right there. This keeps it solid. And there's no movement now with the bracing. So I had the ladder here on the brace. And I was like, you know what? This is a great way for me to get up on my roof because I still got to finish up my roof here. So I just bolted it in. I don't know if you can see it there. There's a little screw right there and on the other side too. Okay, it's bolted in. And here at the bottom, I've got it one full rung down into the ground. So this ain't going nowhere. So I've got a thing about ladders and going up on roofs with ladders. I don't know about how you guys feel about it. Well, that scares the fucking shit out of me. Excuse my French. I just don't like ladders going up on roofs. And this is so solid. Look, I can literally run up here and show you guys how this works. One-handed, one hand on the camera, one hand on the ladder. No problem. I would never do this if this thing wasn't bolted and secured in place. While I'm up here, I might as well show you what this pulley looks like and how it's set in place. It keeps it from moving. It was bending and twisting and it was just making it a mess. Here's our connection. Fits in perfectly. And here we go. Wow, that really goes up there. It's not above the trees, but you know what? It's the best I'm going to get at this point. So let me pause this and then give you my conclusion. All right. My next step over the next week or so, I'm going to be driving a grounding rod here, bonding it to my house grounding rod over on the other side of the house. Everything I've read says that you should bond them. I think it has to do because your base station's plugged in and it gets some ground through the plug to ground the chassis, and you want the voltages to be exact. You don't want it to be 1 or 2 millivolts off because it can really throw things off. So I'm going to do that, bond it. I'm going to put a 4/0 cable that I have hanging around. It's about 2 feet long, and I'm going to bolt it to the bottom of the mast. So this will give me a good ground. Now, one last thing that I'm going to do, when I put the guy wires in, I am thinking of cutting them to a 6 foot length, which is the length that most ground plane rods are at. They'll be coming down at a 45-degree angle. I will cut the 6 foot length guy wires, and then I will be insulating them from the rest of the wire that will be taking it all the way down to fasten them in place. And there's going to be 3 of them. One going behind that end of the house, one over there, and one over there. Anybody have any idea about resonance and things like that with doing that, please let me know, because I'm kind of like learning about this, and it's something that I need to get a grip on, because those guy wires, from what I understand, can create problems if they're not in the proper length, because they act as an antenna and it could throw your resonance off and really hurt your output, your DX, and your receive. Well, guys, that's it. Let me back up here and try to give you a full view of what this looks like. Okay, we got the top of the mast there, or what would be the top of the antenna, or pretty close to it. Here is mast and post, and my ladder to service it, and also to work on my roof. So we get 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, guys, do me a favor. Hit subscribe if you're interested in more videos. Post any comments that you are interested downstairs, and hit the bell button, the alert button, and I'll be coming back at you in a couple more weeks once I progress this a little further. And thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.